Hi, and thank you for watching Targeted West. This is DJ Chris. This is your Sunday show, of course, here in beautiful Lodi, is where I'm broadcasting from in my trusty camper. Temperature today is 62 degrees. It is show number 152. Can you believe that? Today is the 16th of February, 2025. The opinions of our guests are that of their own and not of Targeted West or DJ Chris. We are a peaceful work group that gets together every Sunday for the last 3 years coming up and to talk about V2K, which is synthetic telepathy and the dreams that go along with it. We've had many people discuss their experiences on the call, and we've had other moderators on the call, but tonight we have a moderator from another V2K call, which is V2K Victory. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Lindsay. Thank you for coming by, Lindsay. How are you?
I am well. Thank you so much, DJ Chris. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be on your show and to be of any kind of service to the TI community.
Thank you. Yes, our show gets out all over. So if you like this video and you're watching on your favorite video platform, see, like, subscribe, and comment. And Lindsay and I will see that and get back with you. So thank you, Lindsay, for dropping by. Okay, great.
Of course.
So you tell us a bit about yourself. You have a bio to discuss. We would like to hear about your interesting background. I heard about it, and I'd like to share it with others.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's in a little bit of a story format, so but bear with me here. Jesus answered, "For this I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone who belongs to the truth listens to my voice." And that's from my favorite passage, John 18:37. And just before I get into my story, I have to say, and I say this on all my V2K calls, I believe that if you are a target individual, I believe that we are God's army. I believe that we're in some very, very crazy different times, and I think most people, even if they're not TIs, feel the weight of everything of this, what I like to call the spiritual war of what's going on all around us. So I believe if you're here and you're listening and you're a TI, I believe that you're a warrior for Christ. I really do. And before I get into my story, I just want you guys to know that I am here to share my experience, my strength, and my hope with you all, and to listen to anyone else's experience, to your experiences, with compassion and understanding. I'm not here to invalidate anyone nor judge anyone else. Instead, my goal is to arm everyone with emotional support in response to what you've been through. And I do encourage each one of you to have your own voice. Most importantly, we are all here to focus on achieving a common solution to an ever-expanding worldwide problem, one that affects 70% of women. My hope is that what we all have in common will connect us together to achieve a higher purpose. My favorite therapist once told me that your voice is the most powerful antidepressant on planet Earth, and I completely agree with that now. My entire life, I saw the best in everyone. I was what you would call an optimistic, free spirit, and I was very blessed to have two unbelievably amazing parents who gave me an amazing childhood, and I had every advantage in the world. They even stuck by with me through my 10-year-long battle and addiction to pain pills. And I've been in recovery now over 6 years, and you could say I felt like I had it all back then, and yet I took most of it for granted. I guess I was pretty naive to how the world really worked, and back then my ignorance really was my bliss. And I learned that I had been selected as a gang stalking target or targeted individual back on December 1st of 2014, which was very memorable because it was my son's first birthday. And, I had ever so slightly began to pick up on a very faint noise that sounded, it's like somebody was having a conversation in the background somewhere. And, the weirdest part is that it clearly sounded just like my ex's voice. And, for many reasons I won't get into now, I took my son and I went to live with my parents. And it seemed that no matter where I went, this voice, these and voices seemed to follow. I quickly learned, like I was saying to Chris earlier, back in 2014, there wasn't much info online about this predicament that we're all going through. And, I wasn't getting a lot of good information. Anyway, I quickly learned that recording this did no good because the frequency I was hearing was not audible, at least not to anyone else but me. And then I started to realize this whole voice phenomenon was telepathic in nature, because we all know what a shock it is when we start hearing our own thoughts being broadcasted, back to us. This particular traumatic realization placed me in a state of shock because, whether unbidden or premeditated, the simply horrifying fact was that someone and or something seemed to be intercepting and telepathically communicating my private thoughts back to me. And no one in life prepares you for this. There's no what to do when a nefarious organization psychologically torments you, then subliminally reprograms your loved ones and your parents with secondary personalities. There's no book for dummies on this. And, I know many of you have probably been where I have, where I wish I was crazy because that was less scary than what my intuition was telling me that I was dealing with. I started realizing that I was being followed by cars that I did not recognize by day, and I was being followed by people I did not know at nighttime. And these people were always approximately about 100 to 200 yards away from me. And I still get what's called brighting, where they, whether it's holograms, flashlights, to this day, no matter where I go, that follows. And they shine, I get those lights shining on and off at me. And, whether I'm in Houston, Midland, Denver, League City, New York City, even Antigua on my honeymoon, those are just a few places that I've witnessed, this happening to me. And, at first I spent a lot of time on these little nightly performances, and as I'm sure many of you are aware, mainly yelling out profanities with the V2K, calling me names, making fun of me, basically just trying to psychologically break me down, as I'm sure they have done to many of you on this call. And all of this, you guys, it caused my addiction back then to spiral out of control. And eventually it led me to even have thoughts of wanting to commit suicide, which is completely against my values in everything that I was raised to believe. For years, they tried to get me to do, the V2K tried to get me to do what they asked of me. And they said, do this, so-and-so, and the voices will go away, according to them. But, it was about around then when I started to have a really good relationship with my higher power, and something else inside of me that was greater told me not to believe them. It told me to hold on, and I needed a breakthrough. And in the meantime, my ex had told my parents that a new medication that I was taking. I played soccer at Baylor and herniated 6 discs, so that's kind of how my addiction started. And so with after I had surgery on that, I knew something so much bigger was going on. I knew this wasn't anything about a medication or schizophrenia. My intuition told me differently. Either way, you guys, I went to, 3 years and 3 different psychiatrists later. They put me on every single schizophrenic medication out there. Also, I knew if I had schizophrenia, which I had no family history of, one of the 10 medications that I had been prescribed would have worked, and it would have been successful at treating my diagnosed condition. And back then, I didn't know not to go to a psychiatrist. I didn't really know much of anything. And, I just wanted so badly to rid my mind of this disturbing conversation going on in my head from the moment that I woke up to the time I went to sleep. And I tried anything and everything, but I just still intuitively knew that the root of the problem was not being addressed. And because of this experience, I tell every woman and man that I work with, whether it's at Victory Through V2K, whether a TI, whether they're an alcoholic, whether an addict, whether they're just a human being, that to focus and listen to that intuition voice inside of you, that conscience. I call it the God system. I think it's a gift that we've all been given, and I think it's really easy for the enemy to blind us in life. They can mess with our eyes, they can mess with our ears, but that intuition, that internal system, I don't think that's as easy to mess with. And so at many times ask me, Lindsay, how do you pray? How do you meditate with V2K? Well, that's a tough question. And I know a lot of TIs have issues with that. One of the best things that I do is I ask God to help use my intuition and my conscience to communicate with me through my feelings, so that way I'm not focused on listening to what he's saying, but I ask him to give me the news and, through a different way, through a different one of my senses, if you will. And anyway, about that time, I began seeing that, a targeted individual, or TI, was just another name for any U.S. citizen or many others around the world who have unwillingly been selected, exploited, tortured, and denied our basic constitutional rights. It's a way for, perpetrators to neutralize free-thinking people who, oppose their vaccine mandates and Nazi-like totalitarian regimes. Most TIs do take issue with the New World Order being imposed on all of us because we're known as people who question their narratives and don't always go along with the majority. And because of that, unfortunately, many of us are chosen to be guinea pigs to experiment on, to further their research and to perfect their use of their direct energy weapons. In any case, I know I have never been a willing participant, and I know many of you, almost everybody is probably not either. If you're here tonight listening to this, it's very possible that you've all been affected by this weaponization of neurotechnology. Most often my torture is compromised of the mind reading, the mind control, central nervous system control, 24/7, anywhere, V2K, doesn't matter where I am, organized stalking, electrical shocks, forced body movements, physical injuries. My organs get targeted on occasion, Havana syndrome. All of these little methods are just fancy ways for, someone to mentally, emotionally, and physically abuse us without our knowledge or consent. I always kind of relate it to kind of like making us human puppets in a way. And, I try to keep a sense of humor about this, guys, and I know that's been one of the keys to me being able to survive this. And I know that's what we're all here tonight doing. We're survivors of military-grade weaponry. And technology is so sophisticated that most people have a hard time even believing that it exists. And we're all here for answers. We're all here to support each other. I would begin praying for God back then. When this was all happening, I began praying every morning for God's will to be done in my life and not my own. Was I a victim? Absolutely. But did I want it to stay that way? Absolutely not. It was time that I do something different. And, that saying, if you're just going through hell, just keep going. I lived by that for a long time, and I still do sometimes. So I had been in and out of the AA and the NA programs for years, and I kept trying to do things my way. And at that point in my life, my best thinking had gotten me right there. And the truth is, like the truth of many of you all, was that
the stinking thinking. I know.
The stinking thinking.
I'm a long-term AA and NA too.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's stinking thinking. And even though the truth was that I was being set up to fail, drive the target to her wit's end and create a myth of mental illness around her, leading her to institutionalization. That was their intent. But creating a better, stronger version of somebody like me who was very broken by God's grace is what was actually accomplished. And, for a while, I stopped giving the harassers an audience. I stopped taking all narcotics. I began going back to AA. I actually did what was asked of me by the program, which I think helps anybody out there. I think we should all be working 12-step programs because it's just such a wonderful way of life. And, I got a sponsor. I worked the steps. I built a relationship with my creator that has never been better. And eventually other women even asked me to sponsor them. And I never thought that anyone else would want what I had to offer, especially back then. And that's the beauty of how God transforms our bodies, our minds, and our spirits into what he can use for his greater good. It became very obvious to me that love is truly the only thing strong enough to overcome fear.
I agree. And this is a Christian call, and we are all about love here. So we're really happy you're here. Keep going. We're enjoying it.
Absolutely. I do believe, and to me, it takes love, especially if you're a victim of this harassment. I believe it takes patience and just perseverance, and it takes loving our enemies. Jesus called us to love our enemies. Now, do I get mad at them all the time? Do I handle it, the best? Am I my best self 24/7? Absolutely not. But I have realized through the 12-step program that, working my program and working on myself and getting rid of my resentments, someone told me in the program that having a resentment against somebody else is like drinking poison, hoping somebody else dies. And, why would I want to keep doing that to myself when, doing my step 4 and getting all of my fears and my resentments and my angers out into the open? The relief that gave me was just, and something else, I realized that I was trying harder back then to seek the approval of others and than I was trying to seek God's approval. And when I share my story with others now, I've learned I must be mindful to, rise above the ingrained trauma responses that they try to, condition us to entertain, which will only instill more fear and keep us silent, and just process my way through things the best I can. And, like I said before, the goal of this program is to psychologically break down the subject and destroy his or her life. God's goal is to use this very experience to call us to repentance and then refine us into the people that he made us to be. And I believe that with every beat of my heart, every part of my mind. And around 2021, I was on Facebook and I saw that there was a Targeted Justice meeting on a Saturday. And I went to that meeting. I felt God start to quicken my heart to pray and to fast and to delve deeper into discovering his purpose in my life. And that's when I went to the meeting and I met a lot of TIs and Richard Lighthouse and found Targeted Justice. And, I'd been going through this for 6 years, you guys, and I hadn't really told a soul. I was so scared to because of what happened when I tried. And, then I realized, what if God's will was for me to share my story and listen to yours? And I remember leaving that first meeting, knowing that I had other people out there who knew what I was going through. I felt more peace than I have experienced anywhere else. And, I live every day of my life now feeling more joy and more peace than I ever felt before, even in the midst of the hell that I continue to face. Ever since then, I have continued to meet more and more incredible men and women and who all simply just had the courage to share, courage and the strength to share their testimonies with me and countless others. I still have to face, the neurological symptoms every day, like most of you do. The headaches, the dizziness, the brain fog, the cognitive difficulties, the fatigue, and extreme hearing loss as of lately. But, and then the occasional electric shocks, and then the manipulated dreams and the nightmares. that caused me to apparently scream and yell at night sometimes, what my husband tells me. But you know what, you guys? I'm proud to be a TI, and to be on this journey with some of my best friends. I
Thank
love
you. We're so happy you're here. And I was going to ask you if you got synthetic dreams, and I guess you're getting them too. I get them too, and I kick and I scream and I yell. Oh, it's awful.
Do you remember any of it when you wake up?
I do. The problem is I do remember them, and what it does is it screws up your memory, and you get confused between reality and the dream. And then that's their goal, is to insert new memories, and that's how they do it.
Exactly. It's almost like every day that goes by, I feel like I remember less and less, and I feel like I know it's still there, but it's just, the silent night has helped me quite a bit. I use that at night
so
time.
You're using that. Yeah, another thing, I have a book. I wrote a book on Amazon called Synthetic Dreams that you might want to check out.
I will.
I can give you a free copy if you'd like through your email, or you can purchase like 99 cents. So yeah, I covered that synthetic dream segment for a while. It's quite disturbing, the things they come up with.
It really is.
Did you want to talk about your role at Targeted Justice now? Is that appropriate?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you went there and you met up with them, and of course that parlayed into you being a part of them.
I did, and every person I have met, from the beginning, we've become a family. This is a bunch of people who I know I can go to any time of the day. It doesn't matter. We call on each other we call, and I know I can spill my guts, and I know there's somebody waiting there, not judging me, but just helping encourage me, along. And Targeted Justice has been a lifesaver to me, to be honest. And it's given me so many amazing relationships. I know that all these hard times that are happening to all of us, I know that I could have just stayed safe and not gone through this at some point, or I could willingly go through this fire and let it refine me into something stronger. And, I always, my favorite song is there's another in the fire standing next to me. And that's how I feel about the people I work with at Targeted Justice, is we're all going through our own versions of hell. But people, especially during the first lawsuit, when it was still in the mix, and Anna, worked her butt off, and Richard, everybody did. We've all been working to end this horrible program, and we're all doing the best that we can. But it definitely raised our targeting when we first filed the first lawsuit, especially the people that were the plaintiffs. I'm sorry. So for quite some time, and most people don't even know that is what happened. And it's just, some people, they deal with this, they let it stomp all over them, and it depresses you. I completely understand that. I've been there. But we have, Melody is one of my good friends who started the Victory Through V2K call.
And we've had her on the call. She's told me about her story too. Yes. Yeah.
She has a great story as well. A lot of similarities in our stories, and
yes.
And this does affect 70% women, and I know I do talk to men all the time dealing with this, especially the V2K. No one understands, especially at first. Like I was speaking with you about, Chris, at first, the first year or so, I remember crying myself to sleep every night, not knowing how I was going to adapt to this. But instead, what I've done, in spite of all this, is just try to focus on all the other noises around me, or listen to music, or get up and do something. To me, it's the action. Now, even answering emails at Targeted Justice, or reaching, for the phone and calling another TI, or answering the phone. I always give out my number on every one of our calls, and I will also give it out tonight if there's anyone out there who is struggling with V2K and just needs someone to talk to. I have a lot of people who call me, a lot of first-timers, because I think that they sense that I'm not here to judge anyone. I'm here to just relay my experience and listen to theirs. And I do believe we're going to get through this. I believe, I know Targeted Justice is going to continue moving forward. After last summer, after we did so they're blanking me right now, in Colorado, after the rally, we all had been gearing up after that to do the best we can to, I just recently became the Vice President of Public Relations and Communications.
And so congratulations.
Thank you. So what that means basically is I have a team underneath me, and they are amazing. My team is actually all women, but we're always adding volunteers to our teams, and my team is working on quite a few projects at the moment. This is the first time, that I've been in charge of anything like this. So we're working on, putting on a 5K. We're working on, different projects. Just trying to get the word out. There's a really big rush right now for all of us to go out and share our stories or create podcasts, that actually will hopefully, triple our viewership. And we want everyone to know that, this is real. This is not some fake story. This is as real as the day is long. And, what we want to do is give people, a chance to be heard, a chance to share their story with the world. Because I don't think that this happened to us for us just to, keep our mouth shut about it. I think that for a very specific reason, we're all here, to share in this experience and to grow from it. And, more importantly, to help others. Any chance I get to help another fellow TI or human being is a chance of service. It gets me out of myself. It gets me out of my head. It calls me to action, and it makes me a better person.
Great. So tell us, the next question is, tell us about your Monday call, the V2K call. Is that every Monday, every other Monday? And I would assume it's on tievents.org, of course?
Yes, I do believe, Miss Tranquility has it on tievents.org. And if you get the Targeted Justice newsletter, it's on there too. And as of right now, it's only bi-weekly. However, we are looking into trying to make it a weekly call. It might take a little, a couple of meetings with a few different people who have expressed interest in wanting to host as well. So we're trying to expand the call. We're trying to do the best we can with having guests and giving people the most information they can get. A lot of times, I remember at first when I found out about all this stuff, and it was just more information, more stories. I felt like that was filling me up, and it wasn't just me. This wasn't just happening to me. This is happening to
it gives you a world, and you hear people from all over the world, and you realize your worldview is worldwide, and not just about the U.S. or about you. It's not about you. It's about everybody, and it's worldwide. Isn't that amazing? If we can just take a quick moment out, we have a quick message from one of our supporters here at TargetedWest. That's the Cyber Shield technology. And here's a little message from them for my audience. Check it out.
Do you have a box of worthless shielding material that doesn't work? Have you paid professionals only to come out on the short end of the stick? Well, your life is about to change. Visit cybershieldinfo.com to crack the code on a shielding device that actually works. The Cyber Shield is a computer that fights the perps with a dose of crack code. Would you like to have an in-person demonstration of the Cyber Shield? Come to the San Francisco Bay Area and Silicon Valley for a free demo. Get your Cyber Shield at cybershieldinfo.com. That's cybershieldinfo.com, and change your life.
That's cybershieldinfo.com. Now back to our interview. If you're listening in live, we have almost 80 people here live right now. And of course, we've got the recording, and you're probably watching on your favorite platform. So like, subscribe, and comment. We're talking with Lindsay from Targeted Justice, and Lindsay about her background and what she does. And my next question for you, Lindsay, is what do you have planned for 2025?
2025, gosh, we've got a lot of things planned. There's a lot of us that really believe that this is the year. This is the year a lot of things, a lot of changes are going to happen. I've already been pleasantly surprised with everything that Trump has been doing at such a rapid rate. And from what I've heard from my team and many others in the community is, Tulsi Gabbard, all of these people, Cash Patel, a lot of them are targeted themselves, or at least, have firsthand knowledge of this. And, I guess that's kind of what one of our biggest projects is. How do we get the president to see that this is really happening and to affirm that it's real and to, start making, taking steps toward getting rid of it. And that's what 2025 is going to be about mostly, is we're having people, I don't know if you've read the Targeted Justice newsletters, but please do read them. They're, and the stuff at TI events, but we're, our attorney, Anna Toledo is, giving us things that we can do, letters that we can write, to our government, to our congressmen, even new groups are being set up. There's a lot of focus right now on trying to get this news to the right people. Go to Washington, D.C. I mean, we're who knows what's going to happen this year. All I know is there's a really big push right now for with Targeted Justice and other organizations for getting this information out on social media, whether it's, your story, whether it's just, I mean, a lot of us are working on websites. I'm actually working on life coaching myself, and specifically with targeted individuals. And I'm still working on the website there, but I've actually started working with some, and I give back about 10% of what I've been making. It's going back to Targeted Justice. So that way, everybody, I feel like everyone gets something out of it. And plus, they're donating to a good cause at the end of the day. And, we always are needing donations at Targeted Justice. That's one thing we haven't had time to do as much of is calling, and because we're so busy just, adding volunteers and creating our teams that, we're still working on the project. We're kind of in the project stages as it is. But no idea is a bad idea, and we've got a lot of really great things planned this year. We're hoping to do some events to raise money. We're hoping to again add more volunteers, to help us, get some web pages started, social media influx, all that good stuff. So just trying to get the message out there for everyone to hear.
Great. Well, let's see. Would you like to give out your contact information now so
Absolutely.
that the listeners and the people, do you have chat room availability? If you do, you could type that in maybe. But if you don't, we have people that can type it for you. So don't even worry. What's your contact stuff, the phone number, and maybe an email for people to get a hold of you?
Yes, I am typing that in right now. It's my name is Lindsay Penn. My phone number is 720-387-0188. And I'm typing in my email here as well. It is lindsayjpenn@proton.me. And 1 second, here it goes. And you guys are, welcome to call me, text me, email me at any time about anything, having to do with being targeted, or if you have questions, or you're looking for a life coach, or you're just, looking for, someone to validate your experience and what you've been through. And believe me, it's been 11 years going through this, and I still learn something new every day. And I that's what we're all here for, to teach each other how to deal with this and how to have a sense of humor. And how to,
the sense of humor is the most important of all. I agree.
It sure is. I mean, how can we get through this if we can't laugh at the things that we do, especially the things that come along with the V2K? But everything that I've been through, I mean, and with everything I know you have all been through, I'm very happy. And is that what I saw? I'm missing from the webpage. I'll check on that. Make sure we get that up to speed. Yeah, but I'm definitely confident and thrilled with the people that I have met at Targeted Justice, with the people that I have met on the V2K call that Melody started, and I'm just honored that I'm actually able to do this and be of service to the community in the meantime. And yeah, I'm just so thrilled to see who God is refining each and every one of you into as well. And I do believe that we are His army. I believe that with every bit. So
we are, and they don't like God because most of them are Luciferians or Satanists. So yeah, God doesn't work well with them. Praying in your V2K makes them upset. So
it does, but I just try to push through it, the best that I can.
You have to. You have to. Let's see what time it is. Is there anything else we haven't covered that you'd like to talk about before we go to question and answer session?
I don't believe so. This is, I mean, this has been a wonderful experience. I'm very grateful that you're having me on the call, and I'm sure I'm probably missing a bunch of questions I'm probably not answering. So please feel free to reach out, whether on the show or afterwards. I'll
Great.
definitely
Well,
get
we'll switch to Q&A mode and see what. Okay, we are in our open mic mode, and you can ask Lindsay a question if you'd like. Come on in one at a time, please. We're with Lindsay from Targeted Justice, so come on in and ask us a question.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
I hear you. Come on in.
Okay, here's a question. It's really more of a brainstorm, and I'm not exactly well educated on it. So it's a very general question, and pardon me if it's a little bit uninformed. But one of the biggest issues with regard to being targeted, especially voice to skull, is that if you tell someone, hey, I'm hearing voices, then it's like, well, how can you prove it? And it's all anecdotal, and you sound like a crazy person. So here is the question. EEG, or some kind of measuring of brainwave patterns. I've done some very cursory research, and indeed there is a difference between EEG patterns when it's like an internal hallucination compared to when it's an external stimulus. So here's an idea. What if, I don't know how easy it is to hook people up for EEG or some kind of a brainwave measuring. There are certain $100 headsets like Muse out there that do some basics of it. But if indeed there is a easy way to differentiate whether someone's hearing something because they're internally psychotic or because they're facing external stimulus, then if that can be measured and differentiated, and you could get that kind of differentiation data from 100+ individuals, then you have very powerful objective data that this phenomena is not just hearsay, but is something that is objectively measurable across many people. I don't know if I'm the first person to think of that, but the question is, can something like that be tried? So that this goes from just people complaining to something objectively collected and provable. I'm sorry, I can't hear anything.
Sorry, that's a wonderful question. We're, especially 2025, we're encouraging people to try things like that. Yes, try it. I mean, it may work, it may not, but just like we try to tell people, I mean, in my opinion, why not try to get scanned? Why not try to do other things? Working together, trying to find commonplace solutions so that we can all end this thing once and for all. I think, like I said earlier, no idea, is a bad idea. But I definitely think I see where you're going with the EEG waves and how they can differentiate. And I think I've read a little bit about that, but I have not myself heard that there's any push to do that specifically. I know that Dr. Lindbear talks about, and another thing, having people go to the doctor to, get diagnosed with Havana syndrome. I'm not going to say whether I'm for or against, but I do think that us working towards finding more, physical evidence, or just working towards finding a solution in general, there are no bad ideas. So I definitely think that's something that can be looked into.
And if I may, just one more thing I want to mention. And again, it's just a generalized, putting it out there for whoever is more educated can actually run with it. But there was, this is with regard to something else, the Skinwalker Ranch, and there was a study done where people were given gadgets that automatically collect electromagnetic and gravitational and other kind of data for about 30 plus volunteers. Now, this wasn't with regard to any kind of targeted individuals or voice to skull. This was with regard to, people on the Skinwalker Ranch seeing orbs, and Gary Nolan and a few other, scientists were involved in a project that set up these gadgets. It's called MUPAS study, MUPAS study, and they, if you go experiencer-studies.com, experiencer-studies.com. The point is serious scientists with very high reputations set up this experiment where volunteers were giving these gadgets that passively collected data, and they were able to correlate that, when orbs were appearing or some weird stuff happening in the Skinwalker Ranch, around those people that were witnessing it, they would see spikes in gamma radiation, a few other things.
You know what? Would you mind emailing this to me, to my email? The whole idea.
If you want to, I'm just gonna post it here in chat. Here.
Oh, perfect. That's perfect.
So
okay.
Here I'm gonna post it. This is the general website.
What I would like to do is talk to some others at Target Justice and figure out if I can, maybe think of a solution to kind of try to move forward and get back to you on that, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. First, and I also included the second link, which is specifically the store that has all their gadgets. You might want to, the general idea is to do something like they did, but not with regard to orbs or whatever they were saying on Skinwalker Ranch, but just in generally about empowering people and collect objective data for multiple people who are experiencing things.
Okay. No, I think that's a great idea. I think that you're definitely on the right track there. So, yeah, I'll definitely look into that.
Thank you for that, sir. Next question for Lindsay here at TargetedWest. Come on in. Just hit *6 to be able to speak. Any more questions for Lindsay? Come on in. The weather's warm.
Lindsay, what is your email again? I didn't write it down correctly. INSEY, and then what?
It's LINDSAYJPENN, Lindsay J. Penn, at proton.me. I can put it back in the chat for you, but
I'm not in the chat. I'm on the phone. Protonme.com, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Proton.me.
Yes. Lindsay, yes. LINDSAYJPENN at proton.me.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Anytime. Yes, I know that the show is short, but if anybody has any questions that they can't get to tonight, please email me. I will get back to you as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next question for Lindsay, please. Come on in. Any more questions for Lindsay here at Targeted West? Come on in.
Hi, Lindsay.
Hello, can you hear me?
I hear you. Come on in.
Okay, so this is a follow-up with the guy that talked about measuring external, external waves versus internal. I just wanted to follow up on what he was saying. Is it possible to? Does anybody know somewhere in anyone that is in a college that can set up a study, that invites people to come for themselves to be measured?
Just for the record, I myself don't know. I'm not a scientist. I just gave a general idea, which I was hoping has some merits, and maybe it does. But I myself don't have specific answers there. Sorry about that.
Okay.
But those are great questions. Again, I will actually pass it on to some of the TJ leadership team at our next meeting, so I can get an engineer's perspective or a scientist's perspective or a doctor's perspective on anything. This, whether we do a study or the gadgets, I'll kind of run it by them and get whatever I get in return. I'll find a way to talk to DJ Chris and get you guys some of those answers.
Yeah, I was just thinking because the DJ Chris has a database of people. I'm an engineer myself, so I was thinking about an approach that could be used that would allow for schools to inadvertently, help targeted people without knowing. Because sometimes when you go out there and declare that you're targeted and blah blah blah, they might pull back depending on what they're dealing with. But if it's something that they approach like a study, one could, it's like a Trojan approach to making them use their resources to start a study, and then somebody like DJ Chris can disseminate that information, and people can go there and volunteer to be studied. And after we've collected enough data, then we can declare what the reason for volunteering was.
Absolutely. No, I like where your brain's going with that. All ideas are good. I mean, all we can do is just keep coming up with them and be willing. And maybe there are people out there who are willing to be studied. I mean, there's certainly a lot of us out there who are willing to be scanned, and we're all looking for answers. And I think that there's no wrong path here, and that's just my opinion. So,
thank you guys for that. Next question for Lindsay. Before we go to the book club, we're going to ask Lindsay her favorite book.
Can you hear me?
I hear you. Come on in.
I just have a question for the group. Has anyone else been recruited by the V2K? I've been instructed by the voices to specifically come work for them, and I wanted to know if anyone else has been, possibly, if they've tried to recruit them as well.
Yeah, they do that to me all the time. They offer me different amounts. Could be $20 an hour, $80 an hour, and they say you're perfect. They said I sound like one of them today. I don't know. I was gibbering on about something. No, it's not true. You don't want to work for them, and they're not giving jobs out. It's a lie.
That's very true.
They told me that where to meet them, and that I would be working with them for 3 to 9 months. That I had to leave my house. That I could never come back here.
I don't advise doing that.
Yeah, the biggest advice that I give TIs that have V2K is to not give them an audience as much as possible. Do everything you can. Take a walk. Like right now, I'm sitting here talking to you guys, but in order to tune them out, I'm listening to the sound of my fan, and the air coming in and flowing in and out. Or, either way, it took me a long time to get to the point where I could just not give them an audience, because for a long time I was constantly talking. I mean, I would be in a room full of people, but I wasn't part of the conversation because I was so focused on what they were saying. And to me, it's always all they tried to do is they would try to say one thing and then say the opposite. They're trying to confuse me, just trying to keep me tuned in. They are not your friends.
Yeah, they're the weapon of mass destruction. Yeah.
Exactly.
Do not believe anything they say ever.
Never.
Yeah, I mean, they told me that my fiance was cheating on me. They told me that someone was coming after me with a gun. They were going to kill me.
Yeah, they
for the first 2
don't
years,
believe
they had
them.
me in complete fear, almost every day.
Gotcha. Okay, well, that's great. Let's go find out if anybody else has a question for Lindsay, please.
This question is for you, Mr. Chris. Can you hear me?
I hear you, yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, you mentioned the book Synthetic Dreams. You didn't say who the author was?
Yeah, that's me, Targeted West, DJ Chris, Amazon. If you go right now to your browser and type in My Synthetic Dreams, DJ Chris, Targeted West, it'll pop up about 20 times.
Okay.
You'll be able to find it. Only 99 cents, and it helps support me. Thank you.
All right, I'll check it out.
Thank you for that. Yes, sir. Any other questions for Lindsay before we go to the book club?
I have one more quick thing that actually started helping me recently was baths, very, very hot baths, at least for 20 minutes, with a cup of borax, 2 cups of Epsom salt. And it's amazing the stuff that's in our bodies that comes out. And if you just sit in the bath for, as hot as you can stand it, it's actually, a lot of people, it's a very good detoxifying bath. So that's just one other thing I wanted to add.
Thank you for saying that. And they're saying to add vinegar to the bath for a little bit better effect. Okay, well, let's go ahead and switch over to the book club. And Lindsay will be with me to talk about a book of her favorite choice. And we will go from there in about a second. As soon as
Mr. Chris, please, can you repeat the name of the book again?
It's My Synthetic Telepathy by DJ Chris, Targeted West. It's a blue picture on the front.
My Synthetic Telepathy.
Yes.
Okay.
If you go to TargetedWest.com, it's there. But anyway, we need to go to the book club. Here we go. Hang on, folks.
It's time for the TI Book Club, where every book opens a door to new worlds and shared journeys. Here, we uncover hidden gems, specially selected for TIs, and always within your reach. Be part of a community that reads together, grows together, and sees the world through the same lens. Don't just listen to stories, live them with us. Join now at bookclubs.com/TIBookClub/join, and let's turn the pages of adventure together.
Yes, that's TI Book Club is the group. We've been together since 2016, and now we're formally on bookclubs.com. You can find out about the book club at targetedwest.com if you're listening to this recording. We have Lindsay with us, and we have Deb K doing the coloring book, of course. We have a coloring club for PTSD, and we take turns showing our skills on the camera. So what do you have as your favorite book, Lindsay?
I just put it into the chat. My favorite book is The Way of the Warrior, and that's by Erwin Raphael McManus.
I have that book in the book club. Yes, it's a good one. Yes, I do.
Love it. And yes, every TI is a warrior to me. I highly believe that, and I think it's extremely helpful. I actually did it on one of my the B2K calls, and it was very well received. Lots of encouragement, lots of great information. As well, The Indoctrinated Brain, that's by Michael Nels. It really talks about how the whole COVID, just a lot of the stuff that's going on in the world, and how it's relating to, a lot more people than just us. And then, of course, I love Dr. John Hall's book, Guinea Pigs, and then How to Tame a Demon. I started to read that one recently. And one of my favorite books, especially for women, it's not technically related, but it is called The Gift of Imperfection by Brene Brown. I think she was really, really great in helping me gain a lot of learn boundaries.
Excuse me, ma'am. You're speaking too fast. We're trying to write it down, but
oh, sorry.
Can you give a little pause so we can write down the names of the books? I was only able to give the first one. The second one, before I could write the first one, you already mentioned the second one. If you can just go back to the second one and speak a little, give us a
write
little
them
room.
in the chat, honey. Let's do that.
Oh, excuse me. Is that find it where?
We'll put it in the chat for you.
In the chat right now.
Yeah, but just because I don't know if I can navigate the chat. I'm not good at all this stuff. I can write it down.
Oh.
And
the Indoctrinated Brain.
The Indoctrinated. Okay.
By Michael Nels.
Can you say that last name?
Yes, it is Nehls.
Okay.
And then, I also love the Sermon on the Mount by Emmett Fox. I'll put that on there too.
The what on the Mount?
The Sermon on the Mount.
Oh, okay. Sermon on the Mount. Okay. Who's the author?
Emmett Fox. So yeah, The Way of the Warrior is definitely my favorite.
Okay, I got that one down because that was the first one you called.
Yeah.
And there was another one you said something about a guinea pig.
Yeah, Dr. John Hall has a good one. It's very good information for someone just starting out to kind of find out what's going on.
Yeah, I read that book.
Yeah. I've done. I never used to be a book reader until all this, but for sure now.
Yeah, same here. That's when I started the book club. The book club's choice today is from 1965, and it's rated a 9, and that's Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, and this is part 1. We just started reading the book now, and we'll be reading again next week. So that's this week's book club is Brave New World Revisited. Very interesting book.
That's an old book, isn't it?
It's an older book from 1965, but it tells you a lot that you need to know about how this works.
Yeah, I think I have that book. Wow.
Very important book, yes. Well,
that concludes. But I didn't believe they were true, but
it's coming true now. Well, we do have one little message to play. That concludes our book club, and we're going to play a little message from our friends at TI events. Check it out.
Chris, I've been hosting events for targeted individuals, but no one ever comes.
You need TIevents.org. It's where TIs find all the events. Conference calls, meetups, webinars.
How do I get listed?
Just go to TIevents.org. It's easy. TIevents.org, where the TI community connects. List your events today.
This is TIevents.org. We got Lindsay. Well, thank you, Lindsay. What a great interview. I don't know if anyone else has questions for you, but wow, was right out of the ballpark.
Oh, thank you so much. It was I'm so very, very gracious. Thank you so much for having me. Anytime I get a chance to do anything for the TI community, I'm always here to help.
Thank you for that. We're going to go ahead and see what time. Oh, it's almost time to end the recording. So thank you for watching this on your favorite platform. Please like, subscribe, and make a comment. I read all comments and comment back. Please forward this email. You can find it on archive.org if you want to download it and edit it and use portions for a show. You have full permission. This is all open source. Again, this is DJ Chris with Lindsay from Targeted Justice. And I did play, yes, and we're very grateful to have her here tonight. And of course, we're grateful to have you and taking your time out to watch our video on your favorite platform. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you, DJ Chris. Take care.
Thank you. And we're going to go ahead and end the recording. Okay, thank you for watching on your favorite platform, and we'll see you next week. It's open mic.